right, good evening, everybody. My name is E.R. Anderson. I'm the executive director of Charis Circle. Charis Circle is the nonprofit programming arm of Charis Books, and Charis Books is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore. We're so excited to be here tonight celebrating Soulmate as a Verb, the brand new book by Kelsey L. Smoot. We have loved watching Kelz star rise, and we know this is just the beginning for them. It's going to be a long meteor shower all over. This book is already, I was telling him, on all the best of lists, all the books to watch out for, and it's just always such a pleasure when someone who is genuinely deserving of such praise is starting to get it from outside our little bubble, and it's just, you know, germinating across the country and across the world. So that is it's a really celebratory mood to be bringing this necessary book into, and I'm so glad. Kelz is joined tonight by the one and only Abeo Chimeka-Tisdale. Abeo uses they, them pronouns and is a poet from Atlanta. They can usually be found sitting in a pocket of sunlight, following their curiosity down research holes, crafting, or picking up a ridiculous number of holds from the library. Abeo's poems appear or are forthcoming in Frozen Sea, Dead End Zine, Epiphany, and Petrichor. They are an alumni of Anaphora Arts, In Surreal Life, and Tin House, and are the programming assistant at Charis Books and more. We are so glad to have Abeo as part of the Charis team. And Dr. Kelsey L. Smoot uses he, they, or Kelz pronouns and is a gender theorist, an elective Southerner, a writer, and a poet. His ethnographic style has become the lens through which he understands and reflects on his experience navigating the U.S. sociopolitical landscape. Currently, Kelz serves as an assistant managing editor at Sundress Publications. They are the winner of the 2021 Sad Girls Club Spring Literary Contest, the 2023 The Good Life Review Honeybee Prize, and the grand prize winner of the 2024 Button Poetry Video Contest. Kelz is a Tin House Workshop alum, a Pushcart Prize nominee, a Best of the Net nominee, and a Best New Poets nominee. Proudly, he is also the author of 2 chapbooks, We Was Boys Together with Clash, and Muse with Another New Calligraphy. Thrillingly, Kelz's debut full-length collection of poems, Soulmate as a Verb, is here in our hands, and it's out from DOPAMINE/Semiotext. We're so excited to get to celebrate it, and I would be remiss to not say, like, shit is just so hard for trans people right now, and I was like, I'm so glad we have this to look forward to tonight. So thank you for your words, just being a bomb. And thank you for all that you do. And thank you, Abeo, for all that you do. So glad y'all are here.
Over to you.
Me?
Yeah, cousin.
All right. Growing up Black with roots in the South means you got a lot of cousins. There's the favorite cousin who always felt more like a big brother, the bougie cousins who always got on that new shit, the hood cousins who taught you how to fight, the good cousins who went to college on scholarship, and the play cousins. Perhaps the most important category, your daddy's best friend's daughter, your homeboy from around the way who taught you everything you needed to know in this life. Black folks know to draw the family tree so big and wide, it has room enough to encompass anybody that you've ever loved. So when you ask me how I can care so much about someone I don't share blood with, someone who doesn't share my last name, the answer is simple. That's my cousin. And you might be my play cousin, but I don't play about you. I'll call out your name, but it's been a while, so check me if I mispronounce it. Viva, viva, Tortuguita, viva la revolution, viva whatever it is that keeps the air in my lungs and yours. Pull over in Williamsburg, Virginia for a brown man on the side of the highway, his wary thumb outstretched. disregard anything I've ever been told about the danger of men who look like me. Same fire raining on Gaza, been ringing off on the east side, ringing in my ears ever since I was a kid, and learned that sirens didn't mean that help was on the way. Same fruit swinging strange like loquats and lush ivy brush. Why did you stop for me? Asks Swaj. We got to stick together, I say. I don't care from where you got your brown skin. We sticking like brown mud, like fistfuls of black cake. We sticking like we been stuck, like we don't know no better, like we got the same short end of the stick, but we can hold them together, like we in this for the long haul, like pack up all your shit like I pulled up in the U-Haul, like hop in, loser, we finna get free today. Y'all tweaked if y'all think my ancestors' wildest dream was for me to vote for genocide, keep ignoring homicide, trans femicide. I'm not an activist. I'm just black and tired, so I act like this. I'm really like this. I promise you I would stop for you too. Wallahi, if they take the Wilani, I promise you I will bear witness. I will not look away. There is no tomorrow that I will accept that doesn't have you in it. I will keep your dreams, hold your hands, read your poems, shed tears for you, like you my little kinfolk, like yeah, you could call me your cousin, from the river to the sea. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I love your poem so much.
I love your poem so much.
Did you want to say something else?
Yeah. Let me just give a quick just thank you so much to everyone in Charis. Like, they know, y'all know, like I fuck with Charis heavy. I feel like y'all fuck with me heavy, and I think you know, like it's just not lost on me that especially when you are starting out in any type of like writerly journey to have places that are willing to just give you a space and feature your work and yeah, like grow with you over time just feels so special. um and and yeah, like I do think that shit is so hard for trans people right now. Shit is always hard for trans people, to be honest, but like right now in particular. So I think it's also like having spaces that intentionally elevate, queer and trans voices just, feels so valuable in this moment. So thank y'all so much. And thank y'all so much for pulling up on me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, we do love you here, and I love you. And I'm so excited that you decided to celebrate Soulmate with us.
Of course.
So I want to start with the title, with the cover. It is a gorgeous cover, this photograph. I love the title. So how did it come to be? Like, did you have the title and this picture in mind?
So the title, yes, the picture, no. So basically with the so let me clarify something about this picture. This is not me, y'all. Like so many people who love me thought this was me, which I think is so wild. Like, so I'll start with the title, then we'll move into the picture. So with the title, Soulmate as a Verb, that's actually something that my brother said to me. We were like, I want to say early mid-20s, and I was just going through it romantically. And I just was like on the phone with him, like, bro, like I cannot keep doing this. Like, where is my soulmate? Where are they at? And he was just like, yikes, nowhere. And for me, I was just like, what do you mean? And he was just like, I just don't think it's that. Like, I just don't think that there's this predestined perfect connection out there for you. Like, I think there's just a choice that you end up making with a person or people, to love in a way that is intentional and robust and capacious. And, like, in that way, I think that that framework became something that really blossomed for me, not just in a romantic context, but just thinking of, because the other thing that he said in this conversation is like, dude, you and I are soulmates, like we've created this connection, like, and it's not just love, right? It's like this persistent type of fidelity to like someone's well-being, someone's care, someone's growth, like. And so in that way, I think I started to think about, okay, so what if soulmating was a practice in a political context, in a community context, in a familial context. Like, what does it look like to use this term that is like so commonly associated with like a one true like pairing in a romantic partnership, and kind of blow it out to a bigger thing. So I always knew that I was gonna, like, my first full-length book was going to be called Soulmate as a Verb. I didn't know at the time that this was that, if that makes sense. Like, this became that. And then with the picture, when I spoke to, so Michelle T is the editor at my press, DOPAMINE. She's incredible. And when she and I were talking about cover art, like, she just asked me, like, who are some of your favorite artists? And I named a couple of folks, and among them was Texas Isaiah, who's an incredible photographer. And so I like pulled up his website, and she was kind of looking through his work. And she was like, this is it right here. And so then she was like, go through, his photos, and just like, if there's one that you like we'll reach out to him about it. And honestly, like, I had been such a big fan of his for years that I was like, me? Like, and then I'm scrolling through his photos, and I see this photo, and immediately recognize my friend Lex, who is the subject of this photo, who is just like gorgeous. Like, I was arrested by how beautiful his face is in this picture. I felt like there was such a tenderness in the dynamic between the hand that's reaching out to Lex's face. I like that his eyes were closed, because a lot of the other like photos that Texas Isaiah had on his site were like also extremely gorgeous, but like people with their eyes open, I think, conjure like a slightly different emotion, on a cover. So that just, I was upset. I was like, it's this photo or this book's not coming out. Like, I just was so locked in. And then I just remember the day that Michelle emailed me, was like, yeah, we got it. And then I also, interestingly enough, like the week before she sent me that email, I was in LA where Lex is based, and we're hanging out. And I was just like, so would it be weird if like I wrote a book and then like your face was on it? And he was like, that would be so cool. So shout out Lex. I don't know if you're watching, but you're very beautiful, and I'm so glad that you're on this book. It just feels perfect. Like, it just, the poetry of the title and this photograph are just more than I could have ever dreamed for in a cover. So
tender is the perfect word. It is so tender, the image.
Yeah.
And I love learning that you're friend on the
phone.
I love that.
Yeah, it's my homeboy for real.
Can't believe people think it's you. That is
can't either. I'm like,
does not look like you.
This is, we could not, and especially like, I don't know, like, no. I just maybe it's like, I just think Lex is like so stunning, and I think I'm stunning in a very different flavor and font. Like, this is just different.
Okay. I love getting to hear you talk about Soulmate as a Verb and the title and how it came to you. And it did make me think about the poem. I think it's Searching.
Yeah.
Could you read it?
Yeah. I don't think I've actually ever read that poem out loud.
It's not Searching. What's the one about your soulmate and how you're not waiting anymore, but you kind of are waiting?
Oh, Lemons.
Lemons.
Yeah, I could do Lemons. I like that summary too. I'm like not waiting, but I'm kind of still waiting.
Yeah.
I would also say Lemons is actually one of the few poems in this book that really does kind of engage with this concept of soulmates in a more traditional capacity. Like, it was like a tried and true capital L love poem. This is Lemons. In truth, I am hopeless at being hopeless about love. I look for love in its most impossible hiding places, like my living room couch, inside a jar of Nutella, inside a dark movie theater, inside a dark memory. I act like love is just playing hard to get with me. I act like I am not hard to love. I act like love hasn't been hard on me. Like, I haven't spent every year as far back as I can remember seeking a love that would make me feel lovable. I chase it into the wind like scattered seeds, hoping to see it sprouting. come springtime, but knowing this Carolina clay doesn't soften for most blossoms. I hunker down, black thumb, tongue poking out, looking for love in a pocket-sized computer, saving my greatest poems for the inbox of somebody's daughter, sulking and sullen when I'm left on scene. I was never very good at partner poetry. I have to remind myself to leave room for someone else's stanzas. I've always balked at meeting someone else's standards, but I'm sure for the right one, I could rise to the occasion. I think the times are telling me to give up on love. As a species, we might be coming to a close sooner than we'd predicted. I wonder if my one is close by, somewhere closed off, telling herself I'm not looking for her either, having been sold lemons and fool's gold an untold number of times in my absence. I'm sure she is the pessimist to my optimist, and that's what makes us perfect for one another and potentially doomed to never meet each other. Without even knowing her, I know we are each strong enough to live without the other, a truth designed to devastate us both. I tell everyone in my life I've given up, thrown in the towel. This fruitless search for an elusive love feels like a losing battle, and I am exhausted, but in truth, I am hopeless at being hopeless about love. So even as I delete the apps, stop looking around every bar and coffee shop with an eager eye, convince myself that my wanting her is a projection of something not yet healed in me. Quietly, there is a small flame that continues to flicker in my chest. Yes, I have stood up, walked deliberately toward the threshold of my world, and gently pushed the front door shut. But just before I turn to walk away, I make a last minute decision to leave it unlocked, just in case. Thank you.
So good. So good. Okay. Thank you for indulging me.
Yeah, of course.
Throughout the book, there's a really rigorous study and attention to language, and Lemons does it. And there are a number of poems where you're like flipping common phrases, like Black American specific phrases, but also when life gives you lemons, canaries in a landmine, boys we boys. So I was wondering, well, it's almost like you're putting the phrases under a microscope to examine them on a molecular level and like pick them apart in ways that they don't get attention in the common ways that we use them. So I'm just curious about what made you want to like look more closely at them. How did those poems start?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think that like I started writing poetry in the context of grad school. And so I feel like I was in this constant like wrestling match in grad school with regard to like my choice, like my style of writing, my word choice, my vernacular. And I just felt like I was always like in this space where I was like, I don't want to write in a way that doesn't resonate culturally. I didn't want to write in a way that felt like inaccessible. And so I think that like poetry like ended up being something that would kind of like work in tandem with my academic writing, but also just really started to like queer it and expand it. And I just felt like in a similar way that like theory does in some contexts, I felt like poetry was able to like break concepts open and phrases open and create more space for like just queering our understanding of language and expanding it. And I also think that this just like immediately conjures Black idioms and euphemisms because that's, where we start in Soulmate as a Verb. And with that poem in particular, I was just thinking about like how naturally poetic Black people are. Like we just, you know what I'm saying? We just have it. You know what I'm saying? It's not on us, it's in us. You feel me? And in that way, I think that like there's just such a like poetics to the Black aesthetic, to like our traditions of communication, and like that feels like a definite subject of intrigue to me. Just like fundamentally, like how is it that we have so many like double and triple and quadruple entendres just baked into the way that we talk to one another. Our gesticulations are, something that feels very in group and has its own kind of language associated with it as well. So yeah, I'm a word guy. I've always been verbose, but I think that with this book in particular, I was really definitely engaged with this idea that there's a way, all of the ways that I've been taught how to communicate in different areas of my life coalesce in some fun and interesting experiments in these poems.
Yeah.
But I would like to actually do Black idioms and euphemisms.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask for it.
All right. Black idioms and euphemisms. Truth is, all Black people are poets. We, witchcraft like chemists, can make a thing into another thing with just a little imagination. I grew up so confused about why so many things that sounded good were not actually good. Like, according to my childhood, only a girl can be fast in a bad way and a boy fast in the good one. Don't want a little sugar in your tank. And maybe that's why the world has all this bite for me now. I got that sweet blood. You didn't want to be touched or special. You better stay on your shit. You finna be on that stuff when you grow up. Better to be a latchkey kid than to smell like outside. But me, the aunties say about me, I can't hold water. I got loose lips. I skip home like the street lights finna beat me, smile ripened with a secret. Even now, I wonder what will happen, the way I be carrying on, telling the outside world all my inside business, the stuff I was told better stay behind closed doors. I wonder if my childhood home, the one that is boarded up but still barking and baring teeth in my memories, will crumple with betrayal, closed doors and all tumbling down like Jenga blocks. And someone thousands of miles away knows the exact flavor of the tea I'm spilling, ears burning like hell. Thank you.
Could we also do boy boy?
Yeah. We could do boy boy. Shout out to the boy who this poem was written about. Shit, do you know where it is?
36.
Okay. Boy boy. I like a boy. How this boy laughs in boyish ways, like me, but not like me. We touch like boys, a little rough together, make a boyhood. No context nor precedent for how my hands find boy body, trembles under boy fingers, how they need their lightning strikes red hot, how and where I touch their boyhood. Their hands on my designer boy chest. I know they can feel my boy heart knocking against spare ribs. Wonder if it makes me less of a real boy. How much of my being boy was bolstered by being uninterrupted by another boy? How much of becoming a boy means rejecting other boys? I take in panicked boy breaths, feel like boy meets world when I stare into boy eyes, get tripped up, start to wonder if this is what they meant by boys will be boys. Thank you.
I wish that's what they meant. Okay. I want to talk a bit about titlings of poems specifically. On Instagram the other day, you said you were the titling goat, which is very fitting. Because you are. They're good titles. They feel really weighty and intentional. And I found myself finishing poems and then going back to the title and being like in awe of the like added depth that I got when pairing the two together.
Yeah.
So my question is just how do you do it? That's the goat. But like more specifically, Where does titling happen in your writing process? Do the titles come first? Do you I don't know, do you pick them out of the poems? How does it happen?
There's a lot. I mean, a lot of the times it's collaborative. I'll write a poem and then I'll read it to a friend and be like, what do you feel like the title is? And then we'll kind of go back and forth. Like, what about this? What about this? But sometimes I think that I really value the dynamism that can be added by a title where the title is kind of the first turn in the poem, because I feel like it creates an orientation or a disorientation to what comes after. And so sometimes it's fun to kind of throw the person off my scent, to be like, you think this poem's gonna be about, so I think titles for me are a way of either adding a little pre-poem to a poem, orienting the reader in a particular direction, or giving them something to watch out for later in the poem that will add greater or illuminate a greater understanding of what their perception is. And also I don't know, I think that there's trends in poetry titles, and I try not to follow those. I guess I'll just say that. I feel like I'm not as motivated by I think there was a while where everyone's like, and isn't that blah 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 blah, and that's a bop. But for me, I don't know, I think that there's sometimes a resistance to being very straightforward too with a title. Sometimes I'm like, grass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Limits.
Yeah. Limits. Period. Right. And it's in that way. And I also think, going back to the Black vernacular, I think a lot of my titles end up being double entendres, which is just a way, So for example, with lemons, it's a dud. And when life gives you lemons. And I think, there's a way in which I think titles can do a lot of lifting, and also just create intrigue. Sometimes if I'm not super familiar with a book of poems, and I read through and the titles are fire, I'm like, I'm buying this. So
yeah. Could you read My Pulse as Unreliable Narrator?
Yeah. Where do you know this poem from?
One of the first ones of your poems that I read when we were in a workshop together.
Yeah.
It's on page 84.
Thank you. Okay. My Pulse, the Unreliable Narrator. Again, a boy is in my body. You know it by the way I cannot meet your eyes. I feel his hands where your hands are, and before I can stop it, I am floating above us, and you are holding what's left of the breath in my boy broken body. We do this nearly every night. You, a boy, not body breaker, me, a body. We train ourselves to stay in the pain that is this moment, hoping that I become unbroken and can see you for your beauty and not the boy in your body and all of the things he could do to mine. In truth, you are a reason I give myself. You are focal to this story and how it ends. Let my brain tell it I am broken. Let my pulse have a turn. I've never been more excited. I can be dangerous for you. I have recently decided, might fuck around and let your love crack me wide open. Thank you.
I love that poem so much.
Thank you.
It does one of my favorite things that your poems do, which is it has a direct address. Yeah. Sometimes the person is named, but sometimes it is an unnamed you. Let me find my question. Yeah. I love the intimacy that direct address does. It's almost like it feels like a sneak peek or like a behind the scenes into the poet's mind.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, for you, does director dress happen naturally, like when you're writing a poem, or is it something that comes in revision?
It's definitely when I'm writing a poem. Like, I feel like there are some poems that are just the conversation that I want to have with you, you know, like, and that's just how they come out. I feel like, there was a while where like my brother was like my primary editor of my poems, and he was like, you gotta stop. Like, there's different perspectives you can have. Not every poem needs to be, you know, but I'm good for you. You know what I'm saying? Because then it's like, we're in this, you know? Actually, I want to pop some new shit, because literally this poem that I wrote somewhat recently, it's in the Atlanta Review. It's also forthcoming in other ways. But I wrote this poem about what it's like to fall in love with an avoidant. And it's a whole lot of yous in here. This is called a case study on the anti-hero hero. You with the you. Imagine that's the whole poem. You with the eyes like two rosebuds, the hammer, the hard Scrabble flashbacks. You with the lead foot, sweet tooth, buck knife tucked into your big brown boot. I dreamt about you every night. I love to leave the porch light on for you, but the moths fly straight through the window whenever I do. You with the smile like a window pane, make everything come bubbling up, bleeding out like tree sap. You fly by night, making me love you, hot-faced and headlong. You, all the things I've been warned about. You, belly laugh. You, beast, boy, cowlick and widow's peak, caked and rumble, kicking up dirt and trouble when you come from wherever you come from. You, rosewater, worried lips, avalanche of lemongrass. You come here looking for me, moving through this life, itchy palmed, got money coming to me, at least that's what they say. So tender, so green, nose wide open. Me, everything sprained, but nothing broken. Thank you.
Kind of in a similar vein to the way relationships and lineage and connection show up throughout this collection. I want to talk about form, because we both love form. And this collection is full of so many forms. Black American forms, traditional poetic forms, visual and found poems, blank space. It's so cool.
Thank you.
So was it intentional for you, like when you put this together, were you like, I want all the forms in here, or did it just happen? Okay.
Love a form. So I feel like I was talking to someone a few months ago about like a first book, and it is, I feel like, kind of common practice for poets to be like, my first book is like, here's what I can do. Like, here's every single thing that I can do in a poem. And I did that. And so there's like part of me that was like, I think that form is the thing that I am like the strongest advocate for with regard to like understanding your style in Black poetics. You know, like I just feel like there's so many Black poets who don't feel like form is something that they can approach easily, or they're intimidated by it. I absolutely was intimidated by it at some point. But I think that like it stimulates a different like muscle to be constrained, you know, by something. I also am like, you can actually do whatever the fuck you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you can like, you don't have to police yourself. You can kill the cop in your own head when you're writing in form and be like, actually, I know this is supposed to be 10 syllables, but 11. You know what I'm saying? And that's a new form. Yeah. That's the form that you've augmented and created for yourself. So it's like, in that way, I feel like, it doesn't need to be this super rigid practice. I think it's helpful, especially like on the days where I'm not feeling super inspired. That's the days, like those are the days when I sit down and say, I'll just learn a new form. You know, that's just part of the discipline, right, of like craft. And so, and I also just, I don't know, like I just feel like sometimes my voice is so different in form, you know, and even like, you know, you put me onto the reverse golden shovel, and I was like obsessed, you know, like I was like, oh my gosh, like you can do this form backwards. Like, and so, yeah, it excites me. I nerd out over it. I feel proud of myself when I can recognize a form, you know, that I couldn't previously recognize. So it's something that, in this book, I think, I just wanted to demonstrate that you could use form in ways that wouldn't like traditionalize a poem necessarily. Like, I don't think there's any, even like there's a sonnet in here that like, and everyone, you know, as soon as you hear sonnet, most people are like, oh, like Shakespeare, you know, like, and I'm like, no, not like that. I mean, like, shout out Shakespeare, you know, like I'm not saying anything's bad about Shakespeare, but that's just like not in any way representative of like how I write sonnets, you know. But I think that that's, if you have a limited framework for like what a form can do, that maybe is what you would think of. But love them bad.
And you do them good. You do them really good.
I appreciate that.
I would love to hear the sonnet. I love the sonnet.
Yeah.
And a golden shovel, your pick.
Oh, okay.
Or my pick, but.
Okay, let's see. Where is the sonnet? Okay. This is also like fun fact, the poem that I used to like come out publicly as bisexual. So this is called Sonnet for the Indecisive. Trans math is realizing at 30 like you like boys as much as you are one, meaning a lot and not really at all. Meaning maybe I never believed in this ungodly mess of prefab bodies. Can you truly call it a transition when you exist as both, also neither? Maybe the future is gender fucked, not female like we hoped that it would be. And maybe since the rules are made up, I can retire that little part of me that still balks when someone calls me beautiful, still wonders if I'm going through a phase, as if that makes me any less human. Thank you.
I think Shakespeare would have liked it. It's a good song.
Okay. I actually. Shit. Okay, wait, hold on. Because I'm like, should we take this to a sad place?
That's mine. Mine is a sad one.
The grief. Yep. Grief composite. Okay. Let's get into it. Sorry. Where is
92.
Yeah. Okay, so this is called Grief Composite 1, A Golden Shovel after Denez Smith's Tonight in Oakland.
Wait, before you read it, could you say what a golden shovel is?
Yeah. So a golden shovel is a form. It's like an homage form where you take a line from another writer's work, and then you use that line. Every word in that line becomes the end word of your poem. Or a reverse golden shovel.
The first one
is when every line and that original work becomes the first word in your poem, in your lines of your poem. So yeah, Grief Composite 1. It's not giving what it's supposed to give, you say in your butch queeniest cadence, laughing and launching your phone at me. And I don't expect to never see you again, because storm clouds don't always mean rain. I don't remember stopping to hug you before dashing out into the night, or if I did hug you, it didn't give what it needed to give. Now it feels like there are so many different versions of me. The one to whom you would lovingly refer, so the one whom you would lovingly refer to as honey, furrowed brow, and tea mug perched like a paid actor you'd draw out a thick, oh dear. And tickled, I'd embellish every word until you'd exclaim, oh my lord. And then there is the me who ignored every sign, the one looking upwards and cursing you out now, pretending you are the full black sky. Sure, no one ever knows how long any of us has, but I thought, that we'd at least joan one another for newly graying temples had always felt like a given. There is the me who doesn't know how to be me without us. There is the one who'd said only one word when they called and told me, no. There is the me that pushes small paper boats into brown river water covered in words I can't say to you or anyone, like how enormous this crater in me feels, or how many times you've broken my heart this year. Strangers sometimes catch a stray on my worst days when I glimpse a U-shaped imposter while walking down the street or out a window on my bus ride. I am quick to bare my teeth and growl low and throatily, my facade cracking only as I approach my apartment and see your purple and yellow bike, rusting, still tethered to my gate where you left it on the way to heaven. Is there a ballroom up there? Is there any place for a couch covered in plastic like the one your granny left you where I can tell you about a boy? I fake make face with your stank bougie auntie when I see her around town. And also when anyone asks me if you left behind a note, or if I thought you did it because you didn't have a mama or a daddy to get you together. Truth is, whenever you looked into the future, I don't think you saw yourself there. And it didn't matter how much you knew. I was so mad over you. You always did what you wanted. I just don't understand why we couldn't keep being a we for just a little bit longer. I wonder if when I'm older, it'll make more sense. I hope that someday inside of me will grow to forgive you. I hope that something inside of me will grow to forgive you someday. And it isn't that I don't understand not wanting to be alive or alone or here to see this world continue to be so cruel. I just didn't expect you to leave before anything truly became beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's such a good, I just feel like one of the markers of a really good golden shovel is when you forget that about the borrowed words on the ending line. And so that's a really good golden shovel because I totally forgot.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Golden shovels always make me think about lineage and being in conversation with the work of others.
Yeah.
And you got epigraphs. You got 4 sections, and each section starts with an epigraph. You have borrowed words from Octavia Butler, Toni Morrison, Audre Lorde, and one more person.
June
Jordan. So I'm curious about how you picked those epigraphs, because I feel like you probably had a lot of things you were picking from. So how did you narrow it down to those? And how do you see them in conversation with one another, with the poems, and with like tying the collection together as a whole?
Yeah. Well, I would say first and foremost, like, I feel like I have a really specific, like, ethic towards, like, a cultural citation. So, like, there's a way in which, even if I'm not explicitly writing an after poem, I'm always thinking and existing and surmising in the after of, these like theorists and poets and artists and dreamers that I really admire and hope to honor with my writing. So in that sense, like I knew that I was gonna be invoking so many people, but yeah, like the people who spoke these words or wrote these words, like in particular, like are just like my my Mount Rushmore. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just the goats for me, for real. And so I'll just like actually quickly go through and read each epigraph because they're short. So the first one is chest. And so it's a quote from Octavia Butler. It's from Parable of the Sower, which, like, if you know me, you know that that's my absolute favorite book of all time. So many of the poems in this book are written inspired by Parable of the Sower. So the quote is, "The world is full of painful stories. Sometimes it seems as though there aren't any other kind, and yet I found myself thinking how beautiful that glint of water was through the trees." And so I think like that sentiment to me just like invokes like a level of close observation and like intimate witness of life, of daily living. And so I think some of the poems in that section are definitely my more like reflective, just like kind of piecing it together type poems. And then next is Ribs. It's from Toni Morrison's Sula. "It is sheer good fortune to miss somebody long before they leave you." And so also, We Was Boys Together, the chapbook that preceded this text, is an allusion to Sula. Like late towards the end of Sula, one of the characters says "we was girls together" in reflection of this like deep, intimate friendship that she has throughout her life. And so that book really changed me and really changed like how I think about love and heartbreak, because there's just this sprawling love story that exists between these two people who are not romantically affiliated. They're best friends, but yet like there's this like devastating heartbreak that occurs in the text. And it just like, so Ribs has a lot of sad poems in it, but also just engages this idea of like longing and trying to understand how best to love others, to relate to other people. Lungs. This is a quote by June Jordan from Some of Us Did Not Die, Selected Essays. "Something has to be done about the way in which this world is set up." So lungs, I think for me is, we are obviously moving more central to the body, and the lungs are just like so vital, right, for survival. And lungs and breath are often like invoked in like a more politicized context when we think about the ways in which some bodies are often deprived of air, intentionally. And so I think we start moving into a space that is anguished in that section. There's a lot of grief and just heaviness. And then the last section, heart. Audre Lorde, that's my mom. So this is a quote from Conversations with Audre Lorde. "When you reach out and touch other human beings, it doesn't matter whether you call it therapy or teaching or poetry." And so, I think heart is just like, obviously where, at least in this culture, where the soul lives. And it really, I think, kind of cuts close to like what it is that I'm really trying to do in this work. I feel like heart is like kind of the crescendo of like, okay, so now that we've done all this thinking and yearning and grieving and pining, like, what are we finna do for real?
Yeah. That made me think about two poems. I believe If I Must Live is in heart towards the end, right? Could you read that one?
Yeah, I could do that. Also, this poem is a concrete poem.
It is.
Concrete poem is a poem that is written in the shape of what it's talking about. So this is the poem. This is what it looks like. So this is called If I Must Live, after Rafat Alarir. No one will ever be able to convince me that Rafat needed to die. No one. But if I must live my life in a world absent his, I won't shut up about it. No, I won't march toward nightfall, keening into the void. I'll insert a little genocide into your lighthearted brunch conversation. I will nuck if you buck. I will make you say loudly with your chest that you don't give a fuck about the dead babies, so long as yours stays plump and rosy-cheeked. I tried to grant Rafat's wishes and bend my words into hope, but my poems come out with aimed precision, brandished like weapons. Perhaps this was the plan all along, to make us monsters too, angry enough to lose our humanity, blast holes into people like we ain't just want to live, and hold our babies up toward the morning sky. Thank you.
The other poem that I thought of when you were talking about Octavia Butler and how much you love Parable of the Sower is, what is it called? It's the like speculative poem. There's a dog in a yard. What is it called?
Thirsty. Yeah.
Could you read it?
Yeah. Hold on. Now I'm like, is there another dog in the yard? But yeah, I think it's Thirsty.
It is.
Yeah, so Thirsty, actually, so I wrote Thirsty at Tin House. Did you know that?
I did.
Okay.
With the Charis lecture.
Yeah. So I attended this lecture about the fictive poem, and I was just like obsessed with this concept. So fictive poems are poems that kind of engage some surrealist elements. They engage things that like one might often find in fiction, to emphasize certain features of the poem that might, how did Shira put it?
She was saying like things that it's hard to explain, like if you stay in the realm of the real world.
Yeah.
Like, there are some experiences that it's like, you got to make it weird. You got to make it like magical realism.
Yeah.
Like, kind of, like speculative and
for
science fiction-y to like
100%.
make put language to certain experiences.
That's perfect. That's exactly. It was like, get weird.
It's on 28.
Oh, thank you. It's like, there's usually some sort of non-normative like rules that exist outside of the context we live in that are established within the world of the poem. This poem I wrote when I was angry.
It gives that.
And you know who you are. That made me angry. This is called Thirsty. It's a sleight of hand. I realize exactly too late. You play a woodwind, and instead of a cobra dance, yellow canaries beak their way out through my ear holes, flapping around your head, so miserably in love. We are in front of my childhood home, and I am ashamed of how boring it is in comparison to your silken shirt, garish, wild-eyed expression. I want to live with you. I want to go every place with you. And while you always say nothing, I'm certain that this is shared between us. Look at my canaries and how they halo your perfect head. But you are looking past them, your eyes tracing my lips hungrily, and wordlessly your hand lifts from your side. You're doing it wrong. I don't protest when your fingers grasp the small, shimmering ribbon, a yard-long bean poking out of the corner of my mouth. You must have planted it in me some night, and in one swift tug, we are both stunned when an impossibly too many things come heaping out. The spoons that you hid under the couch to avoid your mother's rage, tied to the crabs your uncle bought you. Well, really just the one, you know, the juicy one that ate the other one, ate its middle clean out when you forgot to feed them, tied to the chairs we flirted circles around on the day we met, tied to the books I read to impress you, tied to the books I lied and said I read to impress you. Tied to my rib cage, so suddenly I fall over, broken and gelatinous, looking up to find you cooing over my brow, the guilt pooling at your eye corners, falling only the once directly into my open mouth, down my throat to join all the other things that had become untethered. You won't leave me here, will you? I manage as you disassemble the woodwind, kicking astray the rubble, the canaries now frantic, hopping about at your feet, still so ready to fly, so ready to dance for you. In the distance, I see a neighbor dog pittering across lawns, lapping at a gutter drain. Damn, that looks so good, I think to myself. The animal of me, aware for the first time in weeks of my basic survival needs. I am so horrendously thirsty. Then there is the sun seeming to drop from the sky in an instant, and you are also gone. The canaries are pecking at my cheeks, tangling in my hair, hoping to find their way back. The neighbor dog turns toward me, seems to contemplate whether I am food, fun, trash, or threat, and just before he turns his head away, the light brown brindle of his coat becomes livened under the streetlight. Not the neighbor dog. I slowly remember he had died a few years back. Who would rebound all of me that had become unspooled? I wonder. The canaries finally quieted, and then I am quieted, asleep like that, confetti all over a driveway. And then I'm dreaming of you again, your perfect, perfect head. You and that sweet little dog, I imagine. No, not dog. Not dog. Coyote. Good puppy. Sharp puppy. Thank you.
I love the world that gets created in that poem.
Yeah.
How some of the characters return, like the canaries, the woodwind from the beginning, coming back at the end, the dog that's not a dog. I don't know. It's so good.
Honestly, one like other fun thing about that poem is that so every year the press that put out Soulmate as a Verb, DOPAMINE, does like an anthology of all the writers, and each year the anthology is themed. So the first year it was witch, and then there was sluts, I want to say, and then this next year it's clowns. And like I had just joined the lineup like when clowns was announced, so I asked Michelle, I was like, can I be in clowns? And she was like, it's like about to go to press, like unless you have something ready to go tomorrow. And I was like, I wrote this really weird poem and I read her Thirsty, and she was like, okay, yeah, let's go in. Because it was like, she was like, and she said this sweet thing where she was like, isn't it so like sad and cute and strange how love just makes us clowns?
Yeah.
You know, where it's like we put on our little clown nose and go to the circus, you know, like
every time.
For sure, every time we gonna go to that circus.
Yeah. Have you written another fictive poem?
I have. Not recently, and not one that I feel super prepared to share, but I feel like just generally speaking, fictive poems for me are like, I just feel inclined to engage them when I'm like heartbroken, you know, because it's like there's something about like literality that feels like too intimate where I'm like, let's put this in a whole other weird context. And, you know, I'm happy to share that currently I'm not heartbroken.
Hey.
You know? Yeah, this is my new truth. It's so weird. It's new for me. It's new for me.
I hope it becomes familiar. I hope it stays. Oh. Okay, we're gonna open it up for Q&A. I was not paying paying attention to the time. Do y'all have any questions?
Wait. Actually, I do want to do just one more.
Okay.
Yeah, just one more. I want to dedicate this poem to my friend Izzy, because she loves it and I love her, and I also love this poem. And it's also the last poem in this book. This is called Bricks. I hope all my books are banned books, like so contraband they start trapping them out the bando. People fiending for my words with such fervor, clawing at the door for just one more taste. Someone keeps the lookout to make sure 12 don't see the weight, tiny baggies filled with poem scraps pushed out from every corner. I hope my books become so obscure that someone's biggest flex is telling you they've read me. And then you search for my Wikipedia page and all it says is Black, queer, longtime resident of the South, 93 till infinity. I hope white people hate my shit. Try to say it means nothing in the daylight, feels so raw and dirty, sneaking peeks on the dark web, face a hot mess of flush. I hope they slam their laptop shut when they hear footsteps approaching, hang their heads with shame, and spend the rest of their lives wondering how much they missed out on. I hope they outlaw my books and then drag queens read them to toddlers on the front steps of the Capitol. I hope there are no front steps of the Capitol because I hope the empire falls. I hope a trans woman throws the first brick. Excuse me. And I hope a page. All right. Oh wait. And I hope a page ripped from one of my books is attached to it. I hope one day I meet a genocide survivor, all grown up despite all odds, and they tell me they know all about my books. And I'll gasp and ask them how my poems made it to Palestine. Through the Whisper Network, they'll say. We mixed them with Arabic, and by the time they reached us, they already had French, Haitian Creole, and Swahili in them too. I hope my books are too heady for the Pulitzer. I hope my books get down on the down low. I hope their registration expires. I hope my books live in infamy. I hope my books turn into history books buried somewhere long forgotten, only to be dug up in 200 years by whoever is still left on this rock. And they read them and they cry and they wonder what made me write these words and what type of world we were living in where people ban books, and then they take my books, toss them into a pit, pour one out for an ancestor, and then they burn them for warmth. Thank you.
All right. Anybody got a question they want to ask? We'll do just like 2 or 3, and then we'll hang out and sign books. Yeah.
Hello. Just first want to say congratulations, bro. Like,
love, bro.
You know the weight of that word is. If there was like one core thing that you want people to walk away from this book with, what would it be?
Give a fuck about somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like anybody else. You know, like I think that so much of what the poems in this book are attending to is just like this idea that like you can actually at any single point in the day, in your life, choose to care about others in a real actionable way. You know, this could look like abstaining from, you know, patronizing businesses that contribute to genocide. This can look like, you know, picking your friends up from the airport. Shout out Maya, you know who you are. This can look like just being the type of person who's really about soulmating, right? Really is like, I want to have people that I'm intimately, radically connected to and invested in and committed to, you know? And I think this doesn't have to be like your partner, you know, it could be, right? That's also a form of, you know, beautiful form of soulmating, but this can be an acquaintance. This could be someone in community. This could be someone who lives on the other side of the planet that you'll never meet, you know, but just like give a fuck, you know? Thank you for that question. I love that question.
Thank
and I love you.
Answer. I love you too, bro. I soulmate you.
Period.
We got an online from FG who says, what is on your writing soundtrack? Now, for the folks online, they don't know that you made a playlist that we were bumping. So the folks who are here will get to hear it on the way out as well. But what are some tracks that you actually write to?
I honestly write in dead silence. I hate to just put that's such a boring answer, but like I'm so easily distracted. But what I will say is actually when I very first started writing poems, I listened to like this playlist that my friend had made for me called Sad Boys Volume 1. And two songs that I remember I played them to death, like back to back to back to back was they're both Phoebe Bridgers songs, Scott Street and Motion Sickness. Like those songs used to just take me there every time. But then they started taking me there, you know? So then I had to stop that. But yeah, those are two songs. But like, other than that, I don't really listen to music while I do listen to, like, I am inspired by music often, but I don't, while I'm actually writing, I usually write in quiet.
I think we should party together and celebrate.
Let's fucking do it.
Yeah. So for everybody who's online, you can buy Kel's book, Soulmate as a Verb, from Charis. I'll drop the link in the chat. And for oh wait, we have a really good question though before we close out. This is from Izzy. Are you your own soulmate?
Oh yeah. First of all, love you, Izzy. Yeah, for sure. I think it like took a while to get there, but like, yeah, I really feel that sometimes I like, especially because this past like 365 days for me has been like me hitting so many goals that were like on some real like bucket list shit. Like sometimes I'm honestly like, I can't believe myself. Like I can't believe that I did what I said I was going to do when I was 16, you know? And so in that way, like I feel like I have this deep commitment to a younger version of me and I'm making their wildest dreams come true. So, yeah.
I love that. All right. So for our folks online, I'm dropping Soulmate is a Verb in the chat for you. And for all of our folks who are here, you get first dibs. You can go buy books up front at the counter with Brittany. You can bring them back here. Kelz will just stay put. And we'll do a little signing and a little chatting. Give it up for Abeo, who is a wonderful interviewer, always. And thank you, Kelz, for celebrating your book here. It really does mean a lot to us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, then.